This is the e-learning podcast, episode number 35.
My funnel at the moment is very basic. I've made a list of all the resources online that aren't mine, but some are mine, but from around the web for people who are learning how to read music or even just to how to play music as well. So I've just got a PDF with, I think it's about 50 different resources around the world, around the web that will help them. So a little pop-up comes up and then get this for free. And in that are some of my own products that I recommend as well. And then I follow up with a few more free resources, and then I do a very small pitch.
Welcome to the e-learning podcast from lmspulse.com. My name is Stephen Laddick, and I'm the director at LMS Pulse. Today, we're switching gears with an amazing e-learning entrepreneurial story for you. Within 5 years, Hello Music Theory went from Dan Farrant's hobby of gathering cool free resources for music education into a top-ranked choice for educators and aspiring musicians. In this lyrical conversation, Dan and I talk about what it's like to find yourself seeing the fruits of your small project and taking the plunge into making non-traditional e-learning your full-time occupation. We also talk about the importance of having a simple but clear and flexible plan. In fact, many of them. And again, learning how to focus, taking stock, and letting go. We also talk about why Dan planned for fun. From content creation to video production to charting a plan for growth, Dan only moved forward when he found a fun way to make it happen. And then finally, we talk about how to know when content can be king in your e-learning project. As much as Dan would love to make videos with music lessons all day, there's operations, marketing, and tons of other things that need attention. And if you want to know how to make some music, be sure to check out hellomusictheory.com. But before we get started, a quick word from our sponsors.
The e-learning podcast is sponsored by the e-learning Success Summit. Learn from more than 40 experts how to teach, work, and learn online without being overwhelmed. Get your free ticket to the summit at elearningsuccesssummit.com and lmspulse.com, your best source for news, information, and resources for e-learning professionals for more than 10 years. Get our free roundup of the week's top news at lmspulse.com.
Hello, Dan. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Stephen. Thanks for having me.
Dan, we're recording this in late October 2020. Where does that find you in the pandemic universe right now?
Yeah, I'm currently, we just bought a house in Surrey in the UK, so just outside London.
Congratulations, home ownership.
Thank you. Yes,
that is fantastic. Way to go.
Feels good.
I've asked this question to every guest on the show since we started it, earlier this year. How's your pandemic going? I mean, with your business that we're going to be talking about today, hellomusictheory.com, I'm guessing that you've seen an uptick.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, when it kicked off back in March, I think a lot of my resources on the website are all downloadable PDFs and things that people can use remotely. So suddenly when all the teachers and parents had to start teaching remotely, I saw a big uptick actually, and it's kind of lasted and grown over the last 6 months or so, which has been great.
Love to have the inverse problem of so many other people in the world. That's great to hear.
Yeah. Very
so, with that said, hellomusictheory.com is your business. It's your site that we're going to talk about today, which is really an exciting new, not totally new, but a new direction for us on the podcast here, because we often talk about so many kind of traditional, so higher education, learning and development in corporate spaces, these kinds of things. This is the individual, very, very niche skill set kind of course. And you're an individual course creator, which you're an independent teacher, which I love it. Give me the genesis, kind of tell us the story of how did this come to be?
Yeah. So before starting this website, I was a musician, professional musician, studied music in London, and sadly hurt my back. So I had to stop playing as much. I was a double bass player. So quite a physical instrument. But I was all throughout college, and then even after, I've been teaching one-to-one music lessons. So would teach double bass and bass guitar and piano, and then music theory as well. So as I was toning down the amount of live events and gigs that I was doing, I thought I'd start a little website just to share resources that I was making, because they were just being used by me, and I was spending, a lot of time making these. And then, more than a few, but the couple of dozen or so pupils I was teaching each week were the only people who got to see it. So started putting them up online for free. And then now that was probably about 5 years ago started. So now it gets about 200,000 people a month coming to visit the site.
That is amazing.
So yeah, it's kind of crazy how
but
big
hey, the thing that I love about it is that, hey, the coronavirus hit and I just kind of decided to throw this thing up, and here are 3 months later, and I'm saying, no, this is, you put the work in over, it sounds like about 8-9 years. This is a decade of work.
Yes, yeah, I mean, taking a lot more seriously now that coronavirus hit, though, obviously, but yeah, it's been a gradual, just little bit by little bit, adding and
this
slowly.
is a story I've heard from a lot of people as we've been talking in class, where it's, rather than approaching this as, hey, I want to figure out how to make money online with courses, you had a passion, you had a career, more than a passion, right? It was a career, and this was a resource that you were using in your career. You were giving it away for free to your students anyway. And then now you've pivoted into a business that's become successful and self-sustaining. What was that moment? What was that moment where you're like, I need to stop offering these for free and turn this into a business? Like, did you have like an aha moment where that was, you knew that was possible, or what happened?
Yeah, I do actually. So yeah, up until about 2017, it was something that I didn't really pay much attention to. When I made a new worksheet or something, or made a new resource, I'd upload it, but it was probably once every 2 weeks or so. And then I remember I read, there's a guy called Nathan Barry who runs a website called Convertkit now, which is like an email service provider.
Sure.
Little pitch for them. They're very good. But before that, he's
not an affiliate. Wait, do you have an affiliate?
No, not an affiliate. No, before that though, he was teaching design. So he wrote a lot of books, how to become a designer and stuff like this. But he has a book called Authority, which I read back in, I think it was 2017. I don't know if you've read that, but in that he just explains that you should be sharing everything you know, teaching everything you know about your topic, and sharing it online. And eventually that will lead to being able to support yourself financially. But yeah, I recommend his book Authority. I mean,
I love that. That is so great that you're like, it's like, here's a self-help resource.
Yeah,
you took it to heart. Granted, you already had a fantastic skill that's globally applicable, right? I mean, I think that's one of the killer things, is that I saw through some of the comments that you have on your website, you got people from Dubai and from South Africa and from United States. Like you're truly global, and music obviously applies everywhere. So that's fantastic. Do you find that there is a particular type of customer that is coming to you? That is it the younger student that is just getting in? Is it the session musician who just wants to beef up something? Like who comes and works on Hello Music Theory? Yeah,
good question. So it's really varied. So as you said, it is worldwide. That's the one thing that always surprised and pleased me, is that I think I've sold my products in about 70 countries, which is
that's awesome.
Mad. I mean,
that is crazy. You're a global phenomenon, man.
I mean, it's music theory. It's the most boring subject in the world. But and then the blog, which we've got free guides. People come from all over the world. It's amazing. But your question was who was it? So yeah, I'd narrow it down to students, parents, and then teachers are the people that are coming. So and every range in that as well. So I have lots of very beginner kind of, you've never read music before, you've never played an instrument. Here's some lessons around that. But then also, actually, I've got a writer now working with me who's just finished his PhD in essentially music composition. So he was writing about negative harmony today, which is the complete opposite end, and I don't even really fully understand it. So it is very varied, but a lot of teachers will use the resources as well. So they'll download the worksheets and use it with their pupils in the class, or one-to-one lessons like I used to do with peripatetic teachers, and then parents who want to help their kid pass the exam. It is quite varied, actually.
That's great to hear.
Yeah, you get I get messages from retired people who are just learning an instrument. They wanted to do it as a kid, but they never got the time, and then
Sure,
you know,
sure.
doing it. So it's a real broad spectrum of customers. And
Fantastic. Before I was about to pivot over to the just kind of your site and how it works and what, but tell me about that too. Is like, how much interaction do you have with your customers, with your client base? I mean, is that a key portion of your business to be able to, you know, give feedback and respond to them, or is that just you kind of people just randomly like, wow, this was awesome, and they send you an email?
yeah, it's so I being quite an introvert, I mean, I enjoyed teaching, but I kind of wanted to not do as much live teaching. And now I don't actually do any, which I'm kind of now missing, which is quite funny, isn't it? You try and stop doing something and then you realize actually you quite liked it. Yeah, but I don't get much interaction. I mean, I'm not doing one-to-one lessons or live teaching, like you said. But yeah, people do email, and if I haven't answered something in one of the topics, they'll maybe clarify and ask for a bit extra, and then I can update the article they were reading. Or sometimes people just don't understand it at all, and then some people, it unlocks something for them, and then they thank you, which is really nice actually. And then a portion of my website is helping people pass one of the exams for music theory. And it's great getting the parents send their certificate of their
That's
kids'
cool.
distinction.
Wow, neat. Yeah.
That feels
True.
really, that's why I did it. So it's
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. Real gratification. And is that the certification exam in the UK or?
well, it's based in the UK, so it's a associated board of the Royal Schools of Music, which is the ABRSM. So, but they're global, so I think they do.
So
it
if you
90
have your
countries.
ABRSM certificate, you can roll up anywhere and just say, "Hey, look, I know my stuff." Wow, that's awesome.
Yes.
That is
Yeah.
fantastic. So again, I think another key piece I want to put on the table just to highlight here too is that we see a lot of snake oil in, you know, the online course business where it's like, hey, come and learn this. And then really what it is, it's a funnel to get people into a product or a service. This is really, you know, a genuine outlet and certification process that, well, not process, sorry, but, you know, the knowledge that you'll get has the ability to get you that true, genuine global certification, which is fantastic.
Absolutely.
That is really cool. I want to pivot the conversation for a second to your site because it's boring.
It's so
I mean,
boring.
Honestly, when I was doing the research before the show, I pulled up the site and I was just kind of like, I was like, really? You know, like you've got it's so plain, but very straightforward, very clear. Is that a conscious choice? Because so many other courses, it's like, hey, you know, you're going to learn this, and then like, tell me what's the thought process there, and how you know, is this iteration number 15 of the site, or is this like your original design?
It's very close to the original design. I'm not very, despite running a website that sells things, I wouldn't describe myself as salesy.
That's probably why you're successful, my friend.
Oh, I don't know about that. I'm sure I could be doing a lot better. But yeah, I want more people to be learning music. So I've tried to just make it as simple as I can, and most of the website is free. I think we've got about 120 free lessons on the blog. And then if you want a bit more information or a bit more help passing an exam, or a bit more specific, or I have a video course now where it teaches you how to read and write music. If you want that, where it's me teaching you, then then you pay for that. So yeah, I've tried to be as unsalesy as I can, but I like a simple website. So I've tried to keep it as simple as I can.
That's great. It's fantastic that it works. It's, you know, I've owned a couple of different properties in my time as well that are outside the sphere, just kind of side hustles. And one of the most interesting lessons that I've learned over the last 10 years is that what works, you can't question what works, right? I've done site upgrades. I've done, you know, hey, here's the bell and whistle, here's the pop-up order, here's the funnel. And the community that the site had usually bucks, and they say, nope, sorry, go back to the old stuff. And it's really interesting how that seems to be consistent across many different verticals.
I think
so. Go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt you on that. One point that I think is really important is the look and design of your site isn't going to bring people there. This was one thing I struggled with at first, because I've been building websites for a long time as well, and I'd spend like hours trying to fix this pixel. It was just slightly not straight, or I didn't quite like the color, or something like this. And then I realized over time that doesn't matter.
Right.
What matters is the words on the page and the topics that you're covering. That's what's going to bring people. That when I learned that and started putting that into practice, that's when I'd say I saw the real growth. And
It's funny how even in today's virtual reality, right, which we're all virtual at this stage, it still comes down to those old adages of what are you really providing value? And are the people who are showing up at your storefront interested in that value? So take me there. How do you get interested people here? I mean, at this stage, I'm assuming if you've got 200,000 people a month, you've got some serious Google juice. I'd love to know how you built that. Are you running any ads? Like, how are you driving traffic to the site? And at what point over the last sort of 5 years did you see that really consistently take off?
Yeah, so I guess it started, as I said, was making worksheets. So I'd make a treble clef worksheet, or I don't know if you play music at all, but
I do. I'm as big a hack as they come, but yeah, no, I
perfect.
do.
Oh, so yeah, I'm sure you understand. Yeah, so I'd make very, very small niche worksheets about one topic, and I'd do a few different levels of that. So I remember I didn't really install my analytics for a while, and then came back and checked, and I saw people were coming to it. So that was when I was like, oh, people are using this site. But yeah, I guess your question was about how are people coming to the site?
Right. So it's, is it, are you using paid traffic? Is it all SEO? Is it just because you've been around for 5 or 6 years now? And like I said, Google has indexed you enough that you're showing up high in search ranks, or what does it do?
Yeah. So at first I was just selling my products, and well, I had lots of free ones, but then I was selling some, and that was bringing in a small amount of traffic, probably, how many was it? I can't remember now, but let's say 3 years ago, it was bringing in 50 to 100 people a day. So not very much at all. But I was still paying rent every month at that. So it doesn't take much traffic to.
I love that. I want to highlight that for anybody who's listening as well. Like, we all have this assumption that you've got to have 1 million hits a month in order to make. But if it's really high value and your target market's showing up, 100 people a month, hey, look, 3-4 people are buying a week or a day or whatever it is. That's all you need.
Sorry, 100 people a day were coming, not a month. But yeah,
all right,
100 people a day.
But yeah, I guess the point is the numbers aren't as big as you think.
Very few people, yes. But so yeah, I don't actually do any paid ads at all. I probably should now that I've got a bit more products available and stuff like that. But I haven't. I've just been focusing on the last kind of 2 years, just free content on the blog. So went a guide on the types of musical notes, or a treble clef, how it works, and all this. So I've just been targeting really specific, very niche topic questions that people are searching for, and then just providing. I look at the top 5 or so pages that are ranking, and just try and do a better version than them, and add my own spin. Or now, as my writer is my friend Sam is writing for me, he'll give his more academic look at it as well, being a PhD.
And how often is that a daily process, weekly process, monthly process, quarterly? Like, how often are you looking at content and then adjusting?
Yeah, so since June, I've been doing 3 a week, which has been really fun to do. Before that, I was doing 1 a week. And then before that, it was very sporadic, as and when.
Yeah.
But I've been taking a lot more seriously in the last year or so, I say. So yeah, I'm up to 3 a week. I'm probably going to try and get that to 4 or 5 a week now as well. Just because Google, as you say, Google is sending some traffic my way. So I'm going to try and push it a bit further.
And is there any paid ad strategy at all, or is this completely organic?
Yeah, it's all organic at the moment, which is probably, I should definitely be looking at adding some ads to it. But up until now, all my products have been £10, so very cheap. I did try and do some advertising, but it wasn't working. So my products were all very affordable. But now I've got a course out, which is a bit more money. I'm going to give it another go.
Okay, fantastic.
Yeah.
That's great. If you wouldn't mind, so you said you've got 120 resources or so that are free. Is that usually how people enter into a funnel? Do you have a sales funnel created where, hey, look, you've downloaded a free resource, you give us your email, and then you kind of are following up with them? Or walk me through the process of how you are nudging people towards those paid courses.
Yeah, I'm not doing a very good job of it. I have a very small funnel.
Clearly you
So,
are, man. You just bought a house and this is what you do. So no,
oh no,
I'm just playing.
I definitely should be doing better. Yeah, my funnel at the moment is very basic. I've made a list of all the resources online that aren't mine, but some are mine, but from around the web for people who are learning how to read music or even just to how to play music as well. So I've just got a PDF with, I think it's about 50 different resources around the world, around the web that will help them. So a little pop-up comes up and then get this for free. And in that are some of my own products that I recommend as well. And then I follow up with a few more free resources, and then I do a very small pitch. I just include my own products in that. But again, I'm not salesy, so it's more if you're doing this, you might find this helpful again.
Sure. Is that process that you just described, is it automated, or is that something that, hey, look, every Tuesday I'm sending my follow-up email to this group and every Wednesday it's this group? Or...
Yeah, no, it's all automated. So I don't actually, yeah, I've set up the emails to come in a few days after they sign up and then on a little cycle, but it doesn't go very long. And then I probably send out an update email once a month, just with anything new that I've released that month and any topics on the blog that we've covered. Yeah, so not very much at all.
And what about sort of what we would call customer lifetime value in the business, right? So do you find that once somebody's come in and purchased a paid resource and they enjoy it, do they come back and say, hey, I'd like to, course 2 and 3 and 4 and 5? Are people like coming back, or is it just high churn rate and you're always evergreen looking for new clients?
No, so one of the good things about learning music is it's definitely a step-by-step process, and you get better, and then you need harder and harder things.
Cumulative.
So,
yeah,
exactly. So the exam board that I help people pass an exam for, they do grades 1 to 8, and so yeah, it's great seeing people start at grade 1, and then over 2 to 3 years, you see them eventually get the higher grades. It's always nice to see. So yeah, the lifetime value is pretty good. It's growing as I release more products as well. So I find the teachers will come and download everything in one go, which is nice because they just want
they want resources. Yeah, to use.
Exactly. And then I'll see the students and the parents, they'll buy one thing at a time as they're progressing through the levels, which is good.
Super cool. What was the genesis? So was the course that you built, was that brought on by coronavirus? You're like, hey, look, this is really blowing up and I'm going to put the course together. Or was that already in the works?
Yeah, that was actually the first product that I wanted to create, was the video course. But it's I'm sure you have, but it's a big job putting a video course together.
A lot of thought process there.
I really struggled. So I ended up actually just doing the book first. So I wrote a study guide, the level 1 study guide, which I've then used all the chapters and the content from that. I've just taught it myself, so and recorded it. So yeah, I found having the book done where I could really take my time and get everything right and in the right order, that then made making the video course so much easier.
That's fantastic. For those of us who are kind of sitting out here who haven't created our course yet, give us a sense of the arc of time. Was this a 6-month project, a 30-day project? And what was your, as someone who's an introvert and who wanted to do this for what, did you finally just say, screw, I need to do this, and you blocked off the 2 weeks to do it? Or was it a drip? You kind of did it like what was your process?
So I tried to film it probably 2 years ago.
Nice.
I tried and I failed miserably. I just couldn't do it. I wasn't, something about it just wasn't right, and I couldn't get it to look right. I couldn't, just couldn't do it. So I put it on hold and wrote the books. And now, I came back to it this year. And it did take 2 weeks actually to do.
Okay.
I just did very, very, very simple slides where it's just got the title of the topic that we're covering. And then my wife's got an iPad Pro, so I just write on that and record it as simple as I could, and just go through my study guide and then add to it, and I'm elaborating on the topic and so it took about 2 weeks, maybe 2.5 weeks, just to get it all uploaded and for sale. But yeah.
Fantastic. Are you going to start building out the catalog? I mean,
yes.
Has the response been good? And now it's like, oh wait, this actually worked. And
yeah. So I always found that once I'd finished all of the grades was when it really started taking off. But yeah, it's starting to trickle in with level 1. So it's definitely definitely on my radar to do the others as well. So yeah,
Nice.
I've actually got my desktop is covered in grade 2. So
Well, this
yeah.
is and that was kind of interesting because you've positioned yourself, or the conversation has positioned you as like someone who stumbled into success, happily so, right?
Yeah.
Do you find that you have a roadmap? Are you more of a planner where you kind of like, look, all right, 6 months I want to have, or maybe in 6 weeks I want to have level 2, and then 6 weeks level 3? Or is it more you're finding yourself becoming that person now because the site is really blowing up?
Yeah, it's strange you ask that. So actually this week I had a coaching session with a mindset coach because I found I had no urgency in my work up until now. I mean, now it pays all the bills and but up until now it wasn't. Well, up until this year it was growing still, and I was always very eager to work on it. But once it started paying the bills and rent and some extra, I got a bit relaxed, I think, and
Sure,
yeah,
absolutely.
which was good for a time during COVID and everything. But now I think I definitely want to put out a lot more. So yeah, this coaching session I had was really helpful, and now I'm going to try and release a new product every 2 weeks now. Was the goal we've gone for. So yeah, not necessarily full video courses, but
Sure.
resources and stuff. So yeah, I've got a roadmap till I think February next year. I'm going to really try and grow it even more.
Last, sort of last technical question on the site. You said that you built it.
Yeah.
Is that your background? I'm kind of wondering, hey, there's a lot of musicians out there who aren't interested in being tech geeks, or, people who are into gardening. They're like, I don't even know how to set up my own website. Is that something that you'd recommend to someone, or would you recommend outsourcing that? And then as a sub question, that how often are you updating the site? Is like that, is that something you're constantly tweaking?
Yeah, so as I was a musician before, when I hurt my back, I randomly became a magician. That's for another podcast, though. But
That is definitely going to be the next podcast.
you can Google me, I'm sure. But so I had to I learned how to build a WordPress website for that because I was fed up of waiting for developers, and they just will never get back to me. And so I was like, I'm going to learn. I'm going to be doing this for a while. I'm going to learn. So I have been doing websites for a while, but I would really recommend, if you're wanting to put your content out online, to learn how to do it. You can do it so simply with a WordPress template. It doesn't have to be complicated. There are loads of free courses on how to do it. And to answer your second question, now I don't touch the design at all. That was another rule. Again, as we were talking about earlier, the tweaks and the stuff, you can spend forever doing that, but I only focus on the content now. So I update the plugins and stuff, but then just straight into where the posts are, and don't touch anything else. Yeah.
What do you see? So now that you've got a sort of a roadmap going on, like the question I always end with, like, what are you seeing 6 months to a year from now? Is this, you've built out your catalog of video courses, this has turned into another thing, you're bringing in other, other musicians to, sort of have a much larger catalog? Like, what's your vision?
Yeah, good question. So my initial goal, I want to get to 1 million words on the website. That would be
How far away are you?
I'm on 120,000 words.
Oh my Lord. You got a 10X there, bud.
I got a long way to go. Yeah. I love a big project though. So yeah, I'm going to aim for 1 million. I think that's a good 4 or 5 years away. But yeah, I'd love to have 1 million words of free music content online. That's one goal. I'd love to make more YouTube videos. I dabbled in it a few years ago and did a terrible job. But I'd love to. I think music's such a visual topic to be teaching, and audible, obviously. But I'd love to do that as well, and reach more people that way, and maybe have a keyboard on the screen and then be talking and teaching these
Sure.
topics.
So I lied. So now you just reminded me. I have one more question. I did notice there's not a whole lot of social on your site. Facebook. I mean, you have a Facebook page with 600 or 700 people on it. There's a little bit of a YouTube trail there, and so. One, fantastic that you've created this business that is not dependent upon these platforms that, you know, everybody is driving to. But two, like, do you have any plan there? Is there any, like, as you said, music is such a social thing, right? If you are putting out your content, or you would have students come on and say, hey, look what I learned from Dan, blah, blah, blah. There's a huge opportunity there. Is that on the horizon as well, or?
Yeah, I'm very easily distracted. So the
mindset coach, I see. Yes.
Yeah. And so I have all these ideas of what I'd like to eventually have, but I realized I can't do them all at once. So I've been focusing on Google, and just people are asking questions in Google and trying to answer as best as I can in text. I'm just going for that at the moment. And now I think with my friend who's writing for me now, that's kind of working on its own now. So he's doing 3 posts a week, and then I'm maybe doing 1 a week. But I can kind of turn that off a bit in my mind, and then it now opens me up to create more products, which is going to be my next 6 months, I think. But then I would love to do some more social things like that. But again, if I think about it, I'll just get distracted.
Sure.
Always chasing the shiny objects.
Absolutely. Dan Farrant, hellomusictheory.com is your site. I can't thank you enough for being on the show today. This is a fantastic story. I'm definitely going to follow up with you in 6 months to see where the rabbit hole has led you, but congratulations, and thank you so much.
Great. Thanks for having me. I need the accountability, so that's good.
Thanks again for tuning into today's episode of the eLearning Podcast. If you like what you've learned today in this episode, I encourage you to either follow us or subscribe to us on Facebook or Twitter or YouTube. And please do share this episode with 1 or 2 of your colleagues or friends. Also, I just want to remind you that you can level up your online learning game with all of the information that's available at the eLearning Success Summit. You can get your free ticket at elearningsuccesssummit.com. And finally, you can also stay up to date on everything that's important, all the news and the resources for e-learning professionals at lmspulse.com. Get our free newsletter by just going to lmspulse.com today. Thanks again.